As you begin to progress into the game, there's going to come a time where you need to transition over into the villains campaign and start pushing it as well as the heroes campaign. Now, the question is, which villains are the ones you should be going after as an early game player? It's a little bit tougher than putting together a heroes team. If you are curious about a beginner heroes team, I've done a video on that as well. We'll card to it right up here if you want to go check that out. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some earlier game beginner style villains teams that you can start putting together. And we're going to look at a few different things here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and show you what the first full-fledged team is that you should be going after as a beginner player. Now, I'm going to show you some other ones you can farm in the meantime, because it's going to be a minute before you have access to all these guys. But the Sinister Six is probably the best villains team for you to be focusing on as a new player for a number of reasons. One, they're a pretty solid little team. They're very fun. They have a lot of very unique things to them that they do together. Cool group of characters, effective, right? They can be used in a few different places in the game, but beyond their utility, they're going to bring you closer to being able to farm the two legendaries when the events roll around, right? They're going to help you get Invisible Woman, and they're going to help you get Shuri, okay? So, not only in their utility, they can be used in Blitz very effectively. You can bounce them around, obviously, the villains campaign, and again, they're going to help you get two legendaries. And I don't know that... There's not very many teams in the game, I think, that'll lead you to two legendaries, okay? Usually it's build this team for this legendary. So, lots of reasons to put this team together. So we're going to come talk about them in a minute, but what I want to just show you is a couple of good earlier game villains that you can focus on putting together. Dadgummit. There we go. That are also gonna help you out quite a bit, okay? Yondu is a great early game villain, okay? He is not too hard to get your hands on. You can get him from Heroes 1-9, okay? So the first stage of the Heroes campaign, you can begin to get Yondu shards. Now, Yondu is good. He's got pretty good damage output. He's got some fun utility, and he can be part of the team that helps you unlock Star-Lord, okay? So, double the utility here, and again, not a bad character. Pretty easy to get early on. Crossbones is another example of someone that is not hard to get your hands on early in the game, and is very effective. You can get him from the Blitz store, and as a newer player, you should be blitzing till you're blue in the face, especially if you're still in that beginner 30-day blitz. I'm going to make another video soon talking about blitz, so be on the lookout for that. But be in blitz as much as you can. For now, be figuring out, like I said, I'm going to try to make it simple in a guide soon. But get your crossbone shards from blitz. He is a nice early game champ. You don't have to max him all the way out, but he's got some really nice stuff going on. He's got really nasty AoE damage here. He puts death proof on himself, and he damages himself as well as the enemies. And there has been a lot of fights that I won early and early mid game because of this. Like, if things are getting grim, things are looking bad, he'll pop out and do this skill and just wipe the enemy team. So lots of damage out of this skill. Very solid early game, easy to get villain. Okay. Now, Carnage is a very, very good character. I believe he's a little bit harder to get your hands on. Let me just... Yeah, I don't think Carnage is as readily available. I feel like he used to be a little bit more available, but maybe not now. So we won't talk about him. But Yondu and Crossbones. Now, Kingpin is another nice one if you can get your hands on him. He's a little bit more difficult to get. But Bullseye, another one. You have access to him very early on. He is not someone that I would recommend just going all in on. None of these guys would I say go all in on, but Heroes 2-6 and Villains 1-3, both fairly early game stages, and he does output nice damage. Now, he is squishy. In my experience, he's been very squishy, but earlier game, when you're strapped for villains, he's one that's easy to get your hands on. Bring him up a few gear tiers, you know, don't max him out by any means. Level up his skills a little bit. He's got solid damage. He will probably take out an enemy or two before he goes down, okay? So Yondu, Crossbones, Bullseye. Winter Soldier is another one that I don't think... He didn't used to be too hard to get. 6-3, that's a little bit deeper. We'll leave him out of this. I feel like he was a little... Maybe I summoned him early on or something. I don't know why I was thinking he was a good example. But that should be enough to get you rolling, because I think it starts you... I'm trying to remember. I feel like there's some other villains you're going to come into early on, but these are some you can focus on. Yondu, Crossbones, Bullseye. Those are some you can focus on and just kind of use as you're working your way toward building up this Sinister Six team. But as soon as you start to get to a point where you can begin to farm these guys, and they're available in different shops, we'll talk about where to get these guys as we go through and talk about them. But we're just going to go through and take a quick look at all these characters, see what they do, and see what kinds of things, why they're so fun, right? So if we look at Green Goblin first, Nexus 5-6, again, a little bit deeper in the game, but definitely something you want to be working your way towards as soon as you're able to work your way. I mean, you know, he's not week 1 early game beginner farmable, but Nexus 5-6 isn't going to be so far out of your range. You know, you will get there soon enough, and he's got some fun stuff going on, right? He attacks adjacent targets with his first skill, Burning Rage. He attacks a target with stealth for some pretty good damage. If no targets have stealth, then he just attacks whoever you want to attack. Fire and Brimstone. Attack 2 to 4 random targets beyond the primary target that you select, and then Cauterize is a really cool skill. On any Spider-Verse ally's turn, choose 2 random enemies. If they have a positive effect, remove 1. Now, let's read that again. On any Spider-Verse ally's turn, choose 2 random enemies. So, Spider-Verse, 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 Spider-Verse. When anyone on the team goes, he'll do that. He's going to make it very difficult to maintain positive effects on your on the enemy team. It's going to be very hard for them to maintain positive effects. That is a really nasty little passive to have on the team, okay? Mysterio, let's take a look at where you can get him real quick, just so you guys can get an idea. Just orbs? Oh, raid orbs, okay. No, that's not true. I just bought some Mysterio shards. Maybe he pops up in the raid store occasionally too. I'm pretty sure I specifically got some Mysterio shards recently. I'm pretty sure he pops up in the raid store occasionally, so be on the lookout for him when he does. I believe there was also a little offer. Maybe I got him through the offer, where they had like that 99-cent or $1.99 deal for 50 shards. Maybe that's what I did, but be on the lookout for him in the raid store, because I know I've seen him in there recently. Let's take a look at his kit. Clear 1 to 2 positive effects from primary target, and then attack for 100% or 170% damage. Apply blind to the primary target. Gain an assist from a random Sinister Six ally. 50% chance to gain an assist from a random ally. If target is a city hero, 50% chance to apply ability block. Now you're seeing a little bit of utility against something maybe like a defender's team or something along those lines. Smoke and Mirrors, AoE with heal block to the primary target and 1 random enemy, and as you level this up, I think it spreads out. Yeah, apply heal block to all. So that gets a little stronger as it goes. And then Grand Masquerade, on spawn, apply deflect to self and all Sinister Six allies. On spawn means at the beginning of the fight. Doesn't matter if he goes first, doesn't matter how fast everybody is. It means when he comes into existence in the fight, deflect gets put on the whole team. If it's a full Sinister Six team, right? Gain 10% focus for self per Spider-Verse ally. Again, the whole team. Spider-Verse allies gain 10% focus. Whole team. On death, summon 1 mirror image at 140% of normal damage and normal health, and then all that stuff gets stronger as you go. But ridiculous. Ridiculous. Moving on to Vulture, who's really cool looking. Attack primary target. Plus damage for each negative effect, and that can start to stack up a little bit and get out of hand. Attack primary and all adjacent targets for 170% damage, 50% chance to apply slow. If it's a city hero, there's offense down included. Supersonic, AoE, and reduce speed bar by 15%. Speed bar reduction is pretty huge, especially on an AoE scale. This can, I mean, under the right circumstances, it takes the whole enemy team's turn away and gives you the turn, right? If this knocks it back, this can kind of shift the rotation where you can kind of steal a whole turn. Your whole team can steal a turn, so that's really nice. And then he's got another on spawn. Fill speed bar by 10% plus 10% speed bar per city hero enemy. That's pretty disgusting. On ally death, 50% chance to gain deflect. On enemy death, fill speed bar by 10%. Pretty fun little setup there. For Shocker, we have, let's see where we can get him. I don't think we looked at where we can get Vulture. So here we've got Cosmic 1/9. I know that Cosmic's a little later, but it's 1/9. Cosmic, it's not so bad. By the time you get there, it won't be so bad. And then Vulture from the Arena store, okay? Concussion Bolt. Attack primary target for 180% piercing. On dodge, apply assist now to a random Sinister Six ally. Generate 1 ability energy for self. Offense up to a random Sinister Six. Fill speed bar by 60%. Quite a bit. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 100% piercing. Repeat attack using a new primary target randomly chosen from the previous secondary targets. So it sort of chains, right? If you attack the person in the front, middle, and it hits the adjacent targets, then it's going to do it again with one of those adjacent targets and then hit all the adjacent targets. So that means the person in the front middle is getting hit twice here. But it also means that it's sort of like a chain attack where the primary target can get hit twice, if that's how it plays out. So pretty interesting. And then gain 5% armor per Sinister Six ally. Gain 5% damage, gain 5% damage per city hero enemy. So it gets a lot of armor on a full Sinister Six team. So pretty cool. And then our tank, we have Rhino, who I guess I'll go ahead and rank up so that we can take a look at where to get his shards from. I've been going after these guys kind of hard. You get him from Blitz Orb. And he's another one that I know I'm buying from a shop. I know that I've been buying this dude from a shop. I don't know why he's not showing up here. Is it because I've already bought him? Does it not show him if I've already bought him for today? Yeah, there's Mysterio. And then Rhino is... I guess because I've already bought him. I didn't realize it would do that. I thought it would show you that even if you'd already bought it. So, yes, Rhino is Blitz Shop. Mysterio, Raid Shop. I think these change, but I've seen him quite a few times. And then here we have Vulture in the Arena store, okay? So, worth keeping in mind. Let's get back in here. Take a look at Rhino. A1, just standard attack. Gain taunt, so here's your taunting tank, right? Clear 1 negative effect from self and each adjacent ally. Attack primary and all adjacent targets for 100%. I think I said that wrong. Attack primary and all adjacent targets for 190% damage. It cannot be blocked. Stampede, attack primary and all adjacent targets for 230 damage. This attack gains 10% damage per city hero enemy. So against a defender's team or something like that, it's going to schmack. On spawn, gain counter. Gain 10% max health per Sinister Six ally. That is 60, I guess 50%. I keep wanting to say 60 because it's supposedly 6 of them, but we don't have a 6th one yet. So 50. 40? I don't guess he would count, would he? No. Okay, let's say 40%. Still a lot of health. On blind, fill speed bar by 50%. On blind, clear 1 negative effect from self and each ally. And that was his passive, right? Yep. So he's really fun. I've had a really good time using this team. They're all very weak, as you can see. I've just gotten started putting them together, but I've been playing around with them in Blitz a little bit. I really like watching these guys work. It is fun. There's a lot of synergy there. All the stuff they do when they spawn, and then all the bonuses they get from each other. Their animations are fun. I really get a kick out of this team. I am going to definitely continue to put resources in them. I've got to get them all to 5-star so that when the events start rolling around where I can use these guys, I can unlock these legendaries and start putting them to work. But this is the first full-out team that I think as a beginner you should be focusing on. Now, again, it's a little bit harder to access than something like a Defenders team, but I think that's kind of the point. You know, the villains, it's always a little harder to put together a villains team, but you'll eventually get to a point where it won't matter. You know, you'll have access to the whole game, and it won't feel quite so difficult or daunting when you see someone like Goblin whose shards are a little further in the game before you can farm them. But you know, take any opportunity you see when these guys pop up in the store, and you know, use your currencies on them. And it happens quicker than you think it's going to happen. You know, I've already got them all at 4-star except Shocker, so it's not as hard to farm them as you might think it is. Obviously, week 1, like I said, it's not going to happen. You can work on Yondu, Crossbones, and a little bit on Bullseye. Get those guys rolling, start getting into the Villains campaign and unlocking extra content. And it'll all start coming together. So, you know, it's meant to take a little bit longer, I think, to get into the villain stuff. But that's the team I think you should be focusing on. So, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to drop them below. If you have any more advice for any of the newer players about any villains that you like that you can access early game, feel free to drop those below too. More information, I always say more information is better down there. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you feel like you got anything out of this, liking the video would help me out a lot, and subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to be doing quite a bit of Marvel Strike Force content as we move forward, and I'm going to keep trying to pump these guides out for the newer players in the game. I know we've got a kind of an surge of new players coming into the game right now, so I'm going to do my best to get as many helpful guides out for you guys as possible so that you don't feel quite so lost, because even if you're coming from something like Raid, this is very different. This is a very different style of game in the same genre, so we're going to try to break it all down and make it not feel so intimidating. So again, hope it helped. I'm done rambling. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you later.